Hello, people. My name is Lovelyn Claire, and I'm super excited to be here today on another beautiful, beautiful time to talk on Sister Talk. And I have someone very interesting who would be talking to us, who is a certified therapist, a counselor who will talk to us both professionally and personally as well, and in life general with our experiences. I know that she's learned in her field of work, which I believe is going to be very, very beneficial to us, the sisters, especially the Christian lady. This show is all about trying to educate the Christian woman on how to live according to scriptures. I do know and appreciate that there are a lot of stuff out there on how we should live as women, and all that, but our standard is actually based on the Word of God. So, quickly, my guest, as you can already see, is a beautiful Yemisi Ajayi. So, hi, sis. Good to have
Hi,
you
how are
here.
you? Good to have you.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Okay.
So, before now, we talk behind camera because of what you do. You really impacted a lot of ladies that I know, and even from all that you've shared in regards to your profession, have really been impacted. So I just thought, hey, it shouldn't just be me hearing all of this professional teachings, spiritual teachings, and general life teaching and well-being. So I just thought it would be nice for us to bring it out here so that other sisters can participate. So today we want to talk about receiving love, right? Not a lot of us know how to receive love, whether we're in a relationship or we were in a relationship or even from our parents or in general, not many of us know how to receive love. So I'd like you to shed light on that and then we'll take it up from there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. And to talk about something that is so dear for me, learning to receive love is just something I'm still learning, and it's an opportunity to have this conversation here too, right? It sounds very easy, but this is something that a lot of people actually struggle with, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Not giving love, we're so good at that, not, being nice or being kind to people, but actually receiving it, sitting with it, accepting it without questioning, without guilt, without, oh, do I deserve that, right? So some of us, we're used to brushing up comments and all that. So today, I'm just hoping that we can shed light on that, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So, well, a little definition, love is, what is love to you? This is what I usually ask people, like individually, what does that mean to you? But a general definition I put here is receiving love is the ability to accept care, kindness,
So
support,
receiving love is the ability to receive kindness,
to accept care, to
accept
receive
care.
kindness, support,
Okay.
affection from others without resistance, guilt, or fear.
Mhm.
It sounds pretty simple, right? But many
Yeah.
of us feel so uncomfortable and unfamiliar when this is offered to us, right? So to look deeper into what this is, I broke it down to why it's hard, right? Receiving love it's not just about emotional, it's about neurological, psychological, and often rooted in our past, right? For many people, love doesn't always feel safe.
Mhm.
Great, right? So maybe love comes with criticism, inconsistency, absence, or conditions that you have to earn it, right? So your mind have learned something very important, that love is not safe or love needs to be earned. I need to prove myself. I remember growing up, for me, I wanted to be the good girl, right? In my living with my auntie and uncle when I'm there, I wanted to be good so that I can receive the attention that I needed. So when we look at this, it's a way that our brain has learned to survive, to
Mhm.
cope with stress, to cope with all those things, right? So now, even when we are healthy, when healthy love shows up, your system still reacts with doubt, when minimizing it, or pushing it away. Not because you don't want love, right? Everybody wants love, right? But mostly because your system is trying to still protect you. That pattern has been learned for so long. And so one analogy that came to me, I was watching a movie. I know we talked about this over the weekend, and then I was watching a movie yesterday, The Case for Christ by Liz Strobel, right? And the movie is
What's the
about
title?
the case for Christ, right? It was about this guy who was trying to debunk his wife belief that the God doesn't exist. So he did all those researches and all that. I've heard about the book. Anyway, so there's a part about it that talks about the father's love impact. So when that came to me last night, I'm like, okay, maybe this topic is, connected to what we were talking about. So the other thing I want to talk about is the father's love impact. One of the deepest place this shows up in our relationship is from our father figure, right? A father's love often shape our sense of worth, our identity, and how we receive love from others. So if a father was emotionally unavailable, you may feel invisible, right? If a parent or a father criticizes you, you may feel not enough. If there's inconsistency, right? Love feels unpredictable then, right? Conditional. Sometimes if you feel like you must perform to be loved, right? Oh, I have to be a good girl, or otherwise daddy will be mad at me, right? So I remember this, just a little bit about personal story for me. I remember when I was in I think it was a women retreat, and this lady was preaching about God's love for you, how amazing it is. And she talks about it, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I never look at God as my father. I've always saw him as this gigantic God who is somewhere above, right? Um, so she talked about how if you have a good father's love, it's easier for you to relate to God as your father. And that broke my heart. I'm like, I guess I'm done for. I never got that. I never had that. My father was there, but he had so much stress. He did all he could, nothing against my dad here, but it was just, there was no affection, there was no love. I never heard, I love you. I never heard, you're good. All these beautiful things that we're learning now, how powerful our words are as parents, right?
Do you know that until you said this now, I
Mhm.
never thought about father's love in this regards or this to this extent in the life of the girl child, right? I've always thought about the father's love towards the son,
Oh, oh yeah.
the boy child, right? So I
Yeah.
never really thought the love of the father to the girl child does make any impact, right, to her until you just said it now. Because we always say that I think that the boy needs a father figure. The boy needs a father figure. I rarely have ever heard that the girl needs a father figure. So hearing this, I think there's a lot of take home from here.
Yes, so it's different. The father figure or parenting is both parenting part is very important in both life. Just be clear. So, but how it affects the daughter is that she has a hero. She looks someone to look up to, someone who shows her care. That's the first place she starts to receive love. That's the first thing. In one of my church, they would do father-daughter date night. That's when she starts to learn how a man should treat her and how to accept that love, right? Because you pay attention to your daughter, you start to treat her like you want a man to treat your daughter eventually, right? Hopefully, if you get that, then you're lucky, right? So it's very important. The guy in the movie, The Case for Christ, is also father-son relationship because he also, didn't receive that much love. In fact, he wasn't talking to his father and all that. So the lady in the movie was saying that, let me guess, you were neglected, you were this, and it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was hard for him to receive that father's love. And the whole idea the lady talked about was how atheist is an atheist. Most atheists in the past had struggled. Most of them didn't have a good father figure. So it's hard to receive that father's love, right? And without realizing it, many people carry this into our childhood. So when someone genuinely shows care, it doesn't match the internal blueprints that we're used to, right? And instead of feeling safe, it feels unfamiliar. Um, and unfamiliar often feels unsafe, right? So what do we do with all this, right? What does
Yeah.
this look like in adulthood? So this can show up in ways like you're deflecting compliments. Ah, you're beautiful. I know this was hard. I'll be like, oh, now I can say thank you. But before I'll be like, oh yeah, oh, you're really good at this. And you're like, really? Over giving, but never asking for help, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, you will give anything to everybody, but you don't know how to ask for help. It can show up feeling uncomfortable when someone is kind to you and choosing emotional unavailable. We sometimes now choose unavailable, emotionally unavailable partners or men subconsciously because we had parents who were not emotionally available. So it's almost like an attachment wound. If we call attachment wound in therapy avoidance and all that. I don't want to go too deep into that, but it's the whole wound of not receiving that love or acceptance, right? Of not knowing what it feels like. So you choose someone who is emotionally not unavailable, and then you
Is
realize
this is this is this consciously or unconsciously? Because most times, because you have lived with a father like this, you just automatically accept it as what is the standard, right? So at the end of the day, I'm just asking, do we now think, does this lady, this woman now think that, oh, I think that is the perfect standard? So do they consciously, unconsciously choose this kind of partners?
it's really unconscious. Nobody wants to choose a partner. When we go into marriages or relationship, we're looking for love because we're built for connection. We're meant to be loved and receive love. We want that. Every woman that I've met, including myself, desire that love, right? But subconsciously, we pick partners who are also wounded, who haven't walked through their own healing journey, right? In my own healing journey, it took a while for me to realize that I needed to be healed in order for me to receive love, and that is okay, right?
Okay,
Because
talking about healing, people that are wounded, do they know they're wounded?
no, a lot of time people don't know. Sometimes people don't know. You start to learn when you start to create awareness around the patterns of your behavior, the patterns of relationship. So for me, you know a little bit about me. I had to sit down when I walked into my marriage now. I had to sit down and say, what is it about me that is attracting a particular part of men? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I noticed when I went out there to start dating again, I started attracting the same pattern of men, men who were not emotionally, available or who just were, talking anyhow, who didn't show any respect for me, right? But this is where you sit down and you create awareness around what is my path? What is my business is called Cherished Pathway. And one of the reasons I named it that is because I encourage people to build awareness around your past trauma, your past experiences, your past pain, your past progress, everything past, present, future. Look at all those paths. It's almost like you've walked the same path all your life. If you walk the same path all your life, right? They serve something, right? A lot of people don't like to go back. It's sad. It's this, yes. But when you start to realize the impact it has on you today is significant, then you can start to make change. That's where the healing starts to come, when you start to create awareness, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I'm okay, when you're not
Mm-hmm.
really okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of afraid to leave that relationship or to speak up or to set boundary, you know something is not sitting right, but we keep quiet in the name of love. Maybe he's just angry. Maybe I'm the one annoying.
Mm-hmm. Making excuses for
Yeah,
him, right? Yeah.
exactly. So we have weak boundaries too. We have things to work on and these are the patterns that you start realizing in yourself that, why did people treat me like this? Right? So, um, you can't be surrounded by love and still feel alone. And you know why that is? If you don't know how to receive love, right? You will be surrounded by people who love you, and then you still feel like, man, I'm alone. That's because you're not open your mind. There's like a wall that you've created, or there's a shield that's still trying to protect you. So receiving love is a skill, right? I'm still learning, like I said. So the good news is receiving love is not something that you're born with or without. It's something that you can learn. And that's why we're having this conversation, right?
Yes,
Starts with
yes.
you understanding it, right? Also, your resistance is not rejection, it's a protection. It's trying to protect you. So instead of judging yourself, we begin with awareness. That's what I was talking about in the first place. Just be aware. What are this pattern? Why am I attracting this kind of people, right? So some practical steps I put. Do you have any question, or can I go into
Yeah, yeah. I think that whilst you mentioned that same question you asked yourself when you talked about why do I attract this kind of people, it just reminded me that I did had a conversation with a guy some time ago, and who was complaining about his wife, and so as far as he was concerned, he was done with the marriage, right? But
Mhm.
what he didn't say was he was still in that marriage. That just what you said about asking yourself why am I attracted to this kind of partners, guys that talk me down, don't respect me. Why am I attracted to people like this? I just remembered a guy who I had a conversation with some time ago who says he was done with his marriage, but they hadn't divorced yet. They were in the process. But one thing he didn't mention was that he was still in the house with the woman.
Mhm.
Right. So, and he says he's such a good guy and made
Mhm.
all the complaint about the wife and all of that. So I asked him this same question, right? I just remembered I said, what brings you, how do you attract, what do you think makes you attract this kind of people? Because he was talking in general that he's observed that he's has been attracting women like this into his life, and he was done. While we were talking,
Mhm.
um, the woman actually came in and started maybe raining insults at him and says, and use the B word that you're talking to on the phone, that you're still with your wife. I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was helping someone, right? And that was it. So I'm not sure if the guy was honest. Maybe he was, but my question to him was, why have you remained in a place like that was so toxic? A
Yeah.
lot of us are there. Number one, I believe, is out of fear.
Mhm.
But the most important thing is what keeps attracting us. There must be something about us that keeps attracting us to the same kind of partners
Mhm.
again and again and again.
Yeah.
So looking at that can help us avoid such relationship, people
Yeah.
like that, and also learning the skills, because you said loving yourself is a skill. Because really, until a man or woman, an individual learns to love,
Mhm.
then he might never even know that, um, or learns the skills of receiving love. He might never even know that he's not been receiving the right kind of love.
Yeah. I like how you asked that man that why you attracting the same, because what we're talking about also applies to men, whether female or male. Um, and according to psychology, this is what we call trauma bonding, right? We want to be the rescue. You want to save that person.
Mhm.
It's an emotional attachment that develops between abusive victim and the abuser, often characterized by intense cycle of abuse, affection, and intimate reinforcement. So it can go on for years if somebody doesn't break that circle or come to awareness of it, right? So when you said that, that's what came to my head. A lot of time, I know when I was in a very unhealthy relationship, I felt like I was more working on doing anything to fix the relationship. I
Mhm.
was more dedicated to pray for him, to fasting
Mhm.
for him, to
Mhm.
helping him rather than help myself, rather than sit
Mhm.
with myself to say, okay, lady, somebody just called you this, did this, did this. How is it that you're minimizing your hurts in order for you to continue to be in this relationship, right? There's all kinds of things that goes into that. So the awareness is not, it's not about
So if
judging.
I may ask, what kept you there? Because for me, I was in a relationship where I could say I wasn't happy because
Mhm,
of several factors.
mhm,
But I always just told myself, as much as, yeah, I did pray, but I always told myself that I wasn't going to
mhm,
continue like this, because I knew that staying in that kind of relationship, I wasn't going to fulfill my purpose in God. There
mhm,
was no way that was going to happen. And I was more determined in fulfilling my purpose than to let people, let life, let the society dictate to me how to live, right? So the question is, why would you stay in a relationship where you were not accepted for that length of time?
So
Why do women do this?
yeah, it's a couple of things and it's a lot of things. And we can sit down here and sit down for every and talk about it for hours, but for every woman it will be different. But most common ones that I'm aware of is low self-esteem. I know I had low self-esteem, right? Because when you're insecure in who you are and who God has created you to be, right? We've talked about all that wound in the beginning where you didn't grow up in a secure attachment home. It can create insecurity for you woman. There's also the factor of religion where, oh my goodness, God
Oh
will
yeah, that's
God
a major one. That's a major one.
Mhm. Right? There's other factors like the kids are involved, or it looks bad to the society if I leave this relationship, especially if it's a marriage
Mhm,
relationship. If I leave this relationship, what are people going to
mhm,
say? How are they going to
mhm,
act? Right? But something is not sitting wrong. So there's a lot of factors that had to, and sometimes it's just not knowing. It's not knowing, right? For me, I remember when I sat with a psychologist and they described the pattern of behavior I was going with, that this person is this. They're not diagnosing this person, but they're just saying these are behavior patterns. And this, nobody, which they won't change for you, because we also want them to change for us, to
mhm,
see
mhm,
we're working hard to do better, to do this, to make sure everything works well. But the harder you work, the farther you actually drive, it doesn't work until the person change for himself. So to me, that was like a wake-up call, and that was like a realization moment that, wow, do I want to live the rest of my life like
mhm,
this? So for every woman out there, it's hard to break that cycle because it feels safe. Your brain is used to that pattern. And that's
mhm,
why coming back to this receiving love, even when I became into a healthy love, it was hard for me to receive it. My husband wants to open the door for me. I'm like, I'm not used to it. I already jumped out and opened the door. And then I had to start affirming myself. This is not a joke. It sounds funny. Even
mhm.
to me, I had to start saying affirmation like I'm worthy of being opened door for. I am
Yeah.
worthy of receiving this love. Yesterday we had another second signal that I felt like, you know what, this conversation needs to happen. Yesterday I was having a conversation with my husband, and he said to me, I don't know what we're talking about, love or something. Or do you love me more now, or more now or less now? And I'm like, or the same. So I was like, okay, maybe about the same. That's what I said. So he went, and then I was like, why did you ask? What about you? Do you love me more now or less or the same? And it's like, I actually love you more. And here I was thinking, with all my craziness, with all everything we've gone through, with all this, like, yeah, that's what makes me love you more. And when you think of Father's love, God's love for us is not
Mhm,
conditioned. It's not
mhm,
because we are perfect or we are the most prayerful person. Is
mhm.
he loves us for our imperfection. He sees our weaknesses. He sees our pain. He sees our all the mistakes that we made, and he still loves us. So when I sat with that last night and the movie, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go jump on this and talk to you about this because my heart just felt like, how did I choose to say is the same for me about the same? I even said, well, because I was in my head, I was thinking, why is he asking? Maybe I'm not as affectionate. So I was saying, oh, well, I know I'm not as affectionate. The other romantic love is dying down. That is what I'm still linking love to.
Yeah,
Affection,
yeah.
right?
Still considering your past.
Yes, I'm still linking affection
Blame-
to, you know, love to affection, but love is not affection.
Mm-mm.
The popular verse in the Bible, love is kind, love is this, love is patient. If we sit with that, they read it to us when we're getting married or in marriages, weddings. If we sit with that and we meditate on that, you will see that love has nothing to do with affection. It has nothing to do with I greet you perfectly, or I do I'm the best wife. I cook the best meal for you,
Mhm.
right? And so when he said that to me, I sat with that and I was like, wow, that's true. The more you know someone, the more you should actually
Love the
love
person.
them and accept them for who they are. And that was difficult for me. It wasn't difficult for me because it was difficult for me from my own lens of view. Like, why am I still thinking this way?
Mhm.
Right? So that is one example that I can give you right now. So let's go into practical steps, right?
Mhm.
Um, so the number one is notice your reaction. The next,
This is the practical steps you take when.
yes, when to start receiving love, right?
Mhm.
You want to notice, we've talked about healing from it. We've talked about creating awareness around it. We've talked about accepting where you came from, your pathways, and how it has shaped you, and how that is not your fault, and how those are trauma responses, and how
Yeah.
you're trying to protect you. Now we're talking about practical steps you can use. Notice your
Okay, okay. I think what we're going to do now, I don't want this video to be too long. We're just going to
reaction.
continue in the next one immediately, right? So that whoever watches can watch the first part and the other part. But please do what to like this video, subscribe and share and leave a comment. So we're going to continue with this video so it's not too long. So yeah, you just stay there and we'll right back.